This is from, my piece was called The It Bird, and it sort of traces my life as a chicken owner. And this is sort of towards the end of the piece, and the something I mentioned in this section, which is called the Igloo. It is a chicken house made by a company called Omelette. And it's actually an incredibly cool, all-plastic chicken house that was designed by some Royal Industrial College of Design students in England, and it's an absolutely fantastic chicken house, really easy to use. And that's what kind of pushed me over the edge as a chicken owner. So this is from the It Bird. I ordered a chartreuse igloo with 4 red hens. The igloo came via UPS. A few days later, the hens were delivered to the post office. "You have a package here," the postal clerk said when she called, "and it's clucking." I rushed into town, picked up the package. It was heavier than I had expected, smaller than I had pictured, and as noisy as I'd been warned. At home, I opened the box and decanted the hens into the attachable wire pen that comes with the igloo. They were young but full-size Rhode Island red hybrids called Ginger Nut Rangers, with bright brown eyes and rich red feathers speckled with white. Their combs were small and pink, and their knobby legs were bright yellow. Within 6 weeks or so, their combs would redden and their legs would pale, signs that they were about to start laying. The knock on chickens has always been that they're stupid. Even some chicken fanciers hold this opinion. I had recently read an online comment from someone who announced cheerily that her chickens are, quote, extremely entertaining due to the fact that they are as dumb as stumps. But my chickens didn't seem stupid. They explored the pen with that stop-action motion that makes chickens look like cartoon characters, but with a brisk alertness and sharp curiosity. Right away, I figured out that pecking order isn't just a figure of speech. They adhered to a strict social system, with each hen taking her turn at the feeder and corrective nips doled out to any chicken that stepped out of line. When a few weeks had passed and the birds were settled in, I let them out of their pen during the day to range around. If I was outside, they stayed near me, chuckling and purring as they pecked at bugs and grass. Because we have acres of meadow where they could roam free, they of course exhibited the contrarian impulse of all pets and decided that their favorite place to spend the afternoon was right at my front door or in the planter box in the courtyard. But I was smitten. I found watching them soothing, and to my surprise, as someone who has never liked housework, I enjoyed all my chicken-related labors, feeding and watering them, and hosing out their igloo. I especially loved going to the feed store and buying bales of hay for their nest and 50-pound sacks of feed. It made me feel like I had legitimized myself as a local. When one of my hens laid my first homegrown egg, I was as proud as if I'd been attending my daughter's bat mitzvah. There have been difficult moments, too. A few months after my hens arrived, my neighbor's 2 indolent old mutts roused themselves, clawed open the igloo, and killed 2 of the birds. I was sick about it, but I restocked with 4 young chickens that I found through an online chicken group. Then I lost 2 of those. They were picked off in broad daylight, probably by a hawk or an owl or a coyote or a raccoon or a fox. Everyone in the woods loves chicken. And chickens who don't fly well or run fast or fight hard are sitting ducks. So I built a big fenced-in yard with netting over the top and put the igloo in it and stopped letting the hens wander around loose. I had never thought of them as prey before, but in the bucolic scenes I had imagined of chickens strolling across my lawn, all the lip-smacking predators had been missing from the picture. At one point, when I was down to 2 chickens, I noticed that one wasn't standing up properly. She also stopped laying eggs and lost a lot of weight. If I were a real farmer, I would have culled her, killed her, and been done with it. But I'm not a real farmer. So I began hauling her back and forth to the vet. He couldn't diagnose the problem, but he gave her an injection of steroids and a prescription for antibiotics. She didn't get any better. She couldn't even reach her food unless I held her up to the feeder. I called an avian expert I tracked down in Boston who wasn't sure what to make of it either. My research led me to something called Merrick's disease, a contagious kind of chicken cancer that attacks the bird's nervous system and can kill a whole flock if it spreads. The sick bird had been my friendliest, calmest hen, the one that most enjoyed being held and stroked, and that laid walloping big brown eggs. I had named her Beauty, but I noticed that the label on her antibiotics said, "Patient Chicken Orlean," which even in my funk I found hilarious. After a month of hand-feeding her, dripping the antibiotics down her beak, and getting no diagnosis beyond my hunch that it might be Merrick's disease, I finally realized that Chicken Orlean was miserable, and there was nothing more I could do. I eat chicken all the time, so I'm not morally opposed to killing a chicken, but I couldn't kill my own pet, so I took her back to the vet. After he injected her with the fatal dose of pentobarbital, I went out into the waiting room and sobbed. The room was empty except for a husky woman holding a snuffling tan pug. She came over and put an arm around me and said, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Was it your dog?" "No," I said, my face in my hands. "It was my chicken."